Good morning. Hi, Courtney. Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone? Hi, Olivia. How is everyone? Welcome. Happy Thursday.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, hi, Elena. I missed you girls last week. I was in here.
Hey, how was your event?
It was good. The first week's a busier week, and then it kind of slows down. So it was really good, though. Nice to meet you.
Yay.
Nice to meet you, Michael, too. I see that you're on here. Are you new, Michael?
I've actually come on one or two of the events before, but fairly
Oh,
new. Thank you.
nice. What were you to the live events?
To the live events, yes.
Oh, so we probably met, that means, in person.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, yes, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Um,
I'm usually at every live event. Um, Give me 1 second.
Good morning.
So awesome. And then Umar, I love seeing faces. So new faces are great. Umar, are you new?
Hello, Marisa. Yeah, I'm new.
Awesome. Do you close for a certain company? Are you with us?
Yeah, I used to close for a certain company. It was a Bizop offer. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Are you closing right now? Sorry, I'm just turning on my son's phone. I have it closed down, but he has to do school right now, and they're homeschooled, so I just have to turn on his downtime. Um, what offer are you on right now?
No offer right now.
No offer. Okay, good. So
Nope.
you're just kind of getting brushed up on your skills.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. For this week, I have
Awesome.
in my mind that I will double down on my skill set. And in the first day of the month, the next month, I will start looking for jobs.
Okay, good. Yeah. See, it's a skills game, guys. I mean, I always say, the difference, we're not salespeople. I mean, we're in the under the umbrella of sales, but our niche is that we're closers, right? High ticket
Yeah.
closing is very different than selling. So we don't sell people. Closers persuade
Hmm.
people. We influence people, and that's why we make a lot of money because people don't get on a call and just want to hand you over, Umar, $1,000, $10,000, $20,000. It takes a skill. And it's funny because I was driving one day with my kids and my son, he's 14, and he's like very motivated and driven by money. He just it's just a very, very big factor. Most people are, but not everybody. And anyway, so he loves to
Hmm.
kind of keep track of like my earnings. And so like he kind of was like, Mom, how much did you make today? So I'm like, oh, I made this much. This is my percentage. And he kind of figures it out, right? So we were driving one day and he's like out of the blue, he's like, Mom, he's like, do people really just give you $20,000 over the phone? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, they do, son. He's like, wow. He's like, that's amazing. How do you do that? I mean, it's actually really hard. I said, I make it look easy, but it's taken years to dial this in. So it's definitely a skill. So the only way you can really make money in this field is you have to master the science of what we do and you have to master the art. Okay. For most people, the art is the hardest part, which is the connecting part, right? Bringing the emotion, building the trust, the understanding. That part's hard for most people. Communication, most of us don't have good communication. And a lot of it is developmental. We learn it from our parents, right? So a lot of times if we don't have it as adults, we have to kind of relearn how to like communicate and connect and join with people and empathize with people and really listen. It's
Hmm.
rocket science.
Hmm.
But really good closers master this, and that's why they make a lot of money because when we listen and we ask the right questions through that process, the entire process, we're influencing and persuading people to see their situation differently. Um, and so I'm going to show a call today. It's a longer call. It was actually a call from last week during the event. And I like to show the calls because sometimes, people come on these events and you think, oh, it's just going to be a slam dunk. These people, they heard Robbie, they were part of the webinar. They're going to come on these calls and they're just going to hand you $10,000, $20,000, right? I think sometimes even the influencers think that, and it's just not true. Nobody wants to hand over their money. Okay, everybody wants to think about it, right? So I got on a call with this gal and I already read her application. I could tell through her writing that she was very skeptical. It sounded like she'd spent a lot of money on other programs. She didn't get what she wanted. Hi, Tish. She didn't, she basically shredded for, $40,000. It was a lot of money. Okay. So I already kind of had some foreknowledge about her situation. So whenever you get skeptical people on the call, like you get an application, someone's like, oh, I don't know if this is real. I hope this is really gonna, work for me this time. Whatever it is, right? These like skeptical hesitations you get. what's most important at that point? Like, what's going to make this person buy? Like, as a closer, like, do you guys think about your prospects, like when you're reading applications? Because I always kind of like want to kind of know, okay, what's going to be my angle, Marisa? Okay. So part of being super successful, guys, is that your outcome of your performance is going to be impacted by three things. Okay. As a closer, your performance is going to be impacted by knowledge, your knowledge base. It's going to be impacted by willingness. Willingness is being prepared, being ready. So like for me, like I part of my success, a lot of my success is my willingness. I'm super consistent. Like if you were to call my husband at any time between 5 a.m. and like 3 p.m., probably all day, but I'll just do my working hours. He'll tell you exactly where I'm at. He'll tell me exactly, oh, she's down in her office. She's having her coffee. She's looking over her emails. She's doing this. She's doing that. He knows exactly what I'm doing because I do it every day and I don't miss. Unless like I have like an event, like a funeral or a wedding or something, right? But I'm very consistent. Even with the flexibility, I keep my hours the same. So that's part of our willingness, and that'll impact, your ability to close good. And then the other thing is attitude. So it's knowledge, it's willingness, which is being prepared. And then it's going to be your attitude, because whatever you put in between your ears, you can't outperform your mind. It's impossible. So you have to always stay positive and have a good attitude, even when it's tough. And that's hard to do, but you can do it because we have control over our mind, which is really powerful. Okay. So I have this application. This lady's telling me that basically this application that she's really nervous. She's already blown through a lot of money, yada, yada, yada. So now I'm like, okay, I'm getting this lady on the call. I don't know where she's at. She's either going to be paying anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000. So in my mind, when I get on this call, I said, a lot of her ability to buy today is going to be based on her liking me, trusting me. Okay. Because she already knows Robbie, right? She already sees it. She sees the results, but it's probably not enough. She needs some personal touch, right? So I'm going to spend some time out the gate joining with her. So you'll see in my introduction, I spend a little bit more time than I normally do, kind of shooting the breeze. And I do that so that I relax her and I connect with her. Okay. Then throughout the sales trajectory, the first part is I want her to like me, right? So that's in the beginning, guys. When you get on a call, the first goal is you want them to like you. Then during discovery, what are we trying to do? During discovery, we're asking questions. And what does discovery do? It builds what?
Rapport.
Trust, rapport.
Olivia hit the nail on the head. The word is trust. During discovery, everything is about building trust. Okay. And that all comes through questioning. And when I say questioning, I don't mean scripted questioning. Okay. Question, answer, question, answer. That's transactional. Transactional does not work with closing because what we're doing on the call is transformational. So our questioning has to be very dynamic. So we have to be listening. So it's not just question, answer, what do I need? It's more like, what are they giving me and how can I take this deeper? How can I get more clarity? How can I get more understanding? When I do that, now I'm building trust because now the prospect knows I truly understand their situation. Okay, it's not surface level discussion. I've gotten deep. Okay, so I have to build trust so that when I pitch, that she believes me. I have to get belief, right? And the only way they're going to believe me is if they like and trust me. If I miss those two benchmarks, they're not going to buy from me because it's just a bunch of like features and benefits in their mind. Like I don't really understand them. Right. So now they believe me. Once they believe me, they're going to buy from me. And the neat thing is, guys, is that our role turns into very advisory, meaning that like it goes like once we understand a situation and they trust us, they're going to take our advice because now we're a trusted advisor. So here they are, we're equal. Through the questioning, I start elevating myself. They trust me. They know I understand them. So now they're going to believe me when I tell them something. So with this lady, she shoots me down. Okay. She's like, man, this is a lot of money. So I listen to her and then we'll kind of break it down how I address it. But then I kind of go back in and I downsell her and it makes sense. So I'm going to show the whole call so you can kind of see how that dynamic looks on the sales process, because the process, you guys, to closing is super important. If you don't have a framework that you're following and have a process to that framework, you're never going to be consistent, because you're never going to know why you're winning some and why you're losing some. Okay. But when you have a dialed in system and you know exactly what that looks like, when you lose a deal, you know why. And when you win, you know why. Okay. Because it's a dialed in process. Processes change everything. It basically makes losers, and it defines the difference between losers and winners. Okay. So before I go into the call, any questions for me at all? Everyone's good?
I
Let's
have a
get right
quick
into it.
question.
Oh, what
I
was
have
that?
a quick question.
Yeah.
Just about so you mentioned, is it just like the framework you're referring to? Just to we're asking questions based on the prospect's particular situation, non-scripted, but are you just referring to just staying on that same framework, the call framework?
Good question. So I think your question's kind of like, what do you mean by framework? Define framework, right? Okay. Is that what you mean? Kind of like what is the framework?
Yeah, well, I understand what the framework is, like the intro, the discovery, the 3 pillars. We're going to bridge the gap. But so I guess just the unscripted part, as long as we're staying within that
Parameters.
framework, just parameters, is that what you're kind of referring to?
So
Like, as
yes,
long as,
it's your parameters. So a couple of things. So there's probably several things that are going to go along with framework. So one is I have to control the framework. So the framework is the science, like knowing the framework, knowing that I have to introduce myself, the discovery, the pitch, the objections, right? Kind of knowing that is the science of the framework. Okay, the art to the framework is now, as a closer, I have to control it, meaning I have to keep this prospect on a straight line. Here's the intro, here's the close. I have to keep them on this line. If I deviate too much, I'm going to lose the deal, because you lose the emotion, you lose the momentum, right? So my goal is not to skew too far off. I need to make sure I keep her close to the line. Okay. So that's one thing, is I'm controlling the framework. The second thing is like, what am I doing within the framework to know that I'm following an exact system, right? So that is that the discovery, I have to make sure. Well, there's a couple things. We'll back it up to intro. Intro, I know legally I have to do a couple things. I have to introduce myself. I have to state my name, right? And I have to state the company I'm with, and I have to say the call's recorded within 30 seconds, preferably. Okay, so that's part of the framework. So I'm in my mind, I'm like, okay, I gotta check off all those boxes. Then during the discovery, I have to make sure I have clarity. I have to have clarity, and the prospect has to have clarity of exactly what's going on. Because if I don't know exactly what's going on, and she doesn't know exactly what's going on, even though she's the person living the situation, but you'd be surprised, people don't realize how crappy their situation is, right? Until you start talking about it. It's like weight loss, right? You think of a Courtney and Elena with, with V-Shred, right? People, you think like, oh, like they're going to buy it. Look at them. They're so out of shape. They know they need coaching, but they don't know how bad their situation is until you start asking questions, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, you're 50 pounds overweight? Like, how long have you been 50 pounds? Like, how long, when did this start? Like, oh my goodness, like, what has you wanting to address it now? They're like, well, I went to the doctors. My blood work sucks, right? It's like, oh my goodness, are you at risk for a heart attack? You start talking about it, and it starts steering a lot of like discomfort. Like, oh my gosh, like this is bad, Marisa. Like, I'm gonna die, right? Well, as I'm talking about like my weight problem, right? Same with like business. They hate their job, they have no job, they're gonna have no money. The uncomfortableness of talking it out brings, will call someone to action. So I can't assume anything as a closer. So when in my dialogue discovery, I want to make sure that I understand, I have clarity, and also they have clarity that they're saying it out loud. I'm not assuming anything. Okay. So I have to make sure I have clarity on what? I have to have clarity of like, okay, why are they in front of me? Like, why now? What have they tried? Why did it not work? What do they feel super confident will work? Right? So that when I know all of this information, when I pitch, I'm not just pitching features and benefits, I'm tailoring it to their situation. So now they're like, ooh, that's relief. Right now I'm pitching. They're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I need. Oh my gosh. And then they realize at the end, in order to get that relief from all that uncomfortable conversation, they have to hand me over money. Right. So you're kind of building. So that's kind of like the process of the framework, right? So it's kind of like knowing the legalities in the beginning, knowing that you're bringing clarity in the middle, that you're tailoring the pitch during the pitch, and then you're asking for the money once you know it's exactly what they need. Okay. Does that answer your question, Tish?
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, we do a lot. Closing is a lot of work. It's so funny. I've managed many teams, but one of the teams I managed, like this guy got on a call and he's like, man, Marisa, this is really hard. And I started laughing. I'm like, of course it's hard. I'm like, people, you don't just make a lot of money because it's easy. I mean, if you think about it, people don't put things in perspective. Like, it's not that easy just to make 100K. It's not. Most people do not make six figures. So now if you're closing wanting to make $250,000 and you think you're just going to make $250,000, you're like in la la land. Okay? It's hard. Like less than like I think it's like less than 3% of the population even makes anything close to 250K, right? In the US. So if you're saying it's hard, yeah, it's going to be hard because you want to be the top 3%. So you got to work at it. It's not going to fall in your lap. So if you're feeling that way, you're right where you should be. It's going to be hard, but you can do it. You just have to learn it, right? That's why you're here. So I always say with these calls, guys, like I want you to learn, but most importantly, I want you guys to transform because I want you guys to change what you're doing so that you can make more money. So if you could just focus on one thing that you see on a call that I review, if you just focus on one thing and then consistently implement it that week, you will see improvement. Okay. So let me open the call. Christina, did you have anything? I thought I heard you, but I don't know. I
No,
don't
we're
wanna
good.
cut it. We're good? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start the call. This is a lady who came from an event, so she already heard Robbie. She was all fired up. But like I said, she seems skeptical from her application. And again, nobody gets on a call just wanting to hand you money, even when they're all jazzed up. Okay, it's not that easy. So I want you guys to look at the process. I'll pause it in between. If you have questions, just raise your hand or blurt out. I don't look at chats too often. And then also, I'm gonna speed it up. So I talk fast and I talk a little bit faster when you hear the recordings because it's sped up. But I'm not talking that fast in real life. Okay, so let me share my screen. Shoot, you guys can't see it yet. Okay, you guys should be good to go now. You guys can see it? Yeah, we're good? Okay, I'm
Yep,
gonna
all
start
good.
it.
Yeah, we could see it.
I'm gonna speed it up a little bit too. Oh. Is there no volume? Susan, I'm Marisa, by the way. Just to formally introduce myself, I am with Commission Hero. We record our calls just for quality and training. Gotta let you know that.
Sure, no problem.
And where are you located? I'm in California. Okay, guys, just right out the gate. What do I do?
You bring excitement. You're bringing the thunder.
Yes. I am the thunder on this call,
Yeah,
you
you're
guys.
bringing the thunder.
As closers, we are the thunder, okay? Like your prospect is not going to bring the thunder. Okay? If you're waiting for them to jazz you up, it's never going to happen. You have to jazz them up, okay? So I bring energy. Energy is what sells. Okay, I follow this gal and she always says this great line. She says, energy is our currency as closers. And she's 100% spot on. Our energy is our currency. I make a lot of money because I bring energy to every call. So if you're somebody who's lower energy, and your energy doesn't have to look like my energy, but you do need to bring some sense of energy to the call because it's infectious. People want to be around it. Sometimes people have bought from me and I'll get messages later. They're like, I didn't even really understand what I was purchasing, but I bought it. And now I watched this webinar and now I'm so excited that I jumped in. And the reason they bought is because they just thought they believed me. They were like, I don't know, but whatever she's selling, I want to be on that side of the wall. I'm just going to do it. Right. So you need to be infectious. Okay. Because then people want to join you. They want to be part of your cause. Okay. So immediately I come on, I'm lighthearted. I'm not sitting like this, like, hi. Oh yeah. I'm Marisa. Yeah. I'm with Commission here. We record our calls for training quality. I'm not talking like that. That's robotic, right? Nobody likes that. It does not bring good feelings. So we want to loosen up, guys. Yeah.
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. I used to, yeah, on the other coast. I used to be in Phoenix, though.
Oh my gosh. So on our side of town.
Yeah.
South Carolina is beautiful though, right? And you get the walk.
That's why I moved here.
I actually want to visit South Carolina. I've been telling my husband that. Like, I don't know if we'll ever move out of I live where I'm at. I don't necessarily like California, but I like the region of California that I'm in. But
where are you? What part?
I'm near San Diego, but I'm in a private gated city. It's called Canyon Lake. And it's kind of like the Texas of California. So it's private. It's like a very I don't know. It's really neat. We have our own beaches, our own police department, our own restaurants, and it's all gated with security. So it's really safe.
Oh, that's nice.
No, I love it.
I went to San Diego many times and I never.
Okay, you guys, I normally never spend this much time in the beginning, but again, why did I do this? Because I was prepared. I had read her application. I had seen that she's super skeptical. She's spent over $40,000 and been completely screwed. So I don't want her to get on a call and feel sales resistance. Like I'm going to be sold something. So I want to relax her. Like, hey, we're just two people. You live in a nice area. I live in a nice area. We're just shooting the breeze right now. And right now is the okay time to do it because I'm not losing momentum. If I did this in the middle of a call when I've already built, and then I get off script, I lose momentum. I'm getting them off the sales trajectory. In the beginning, we're not on it yet. So right now is a good time to get her off the sales trajectory, but then I'm going to bring her back on. Okay. So this is very strategic. I normally would never spend this much time shooting the breeze.
Or heard of that area, but then again, I wasn't looking for a house.
Oh, we're more north of San Diego. So the biggest city is probably San Diego, but we're probably about 60 miles from San Diego. So we're a little bit, but that's the biggest city. We're probably closer to Temecula.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right there. But when
Yeah.
people ask if they don't know California, everyone knows where
Yeah,
San Diego
yeah.
is. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we're connected. And it looks like you went to the State of the Union. Okay, stop. Look at body language. Body language is super important. Okay. Am I sitting like this and talking like this to her the whole time?
No, you're leading into
No.
the camera.
I'm dynamic. I lean back. I lean forward. I use my hands. You know, I look away. Don't stare at people in the eyes the whole time. It's uncomfortable, right? This is the art of closing, guys. Connecting. You want people to feel comfortable. If you're just doing question, answer, and staring at somebody, it's very uncomfortable. So I always purposefully find times to look away from the camera, like look up, because I don't want to make it awkward. Okay. So these are things that you guys can mimic too. Like you guys can, and when you use your hands and you lean in the camera, it changes your energy. It just does. You'll find yourself being more energetic and actually enjoying the conversation a lot more too. And you might be considering possibly the Elite Mastermind. I saw your application. Looks like you've had maybe some crash and burning.
Yeah, I got burned in a big way. Yeah, and I mean, I could just tell you briefly, I know we don't want to spend a lot of time on that. So I signed up for two different coaching programs.
Okay.
And it was for selling things on Amazon, for selling, Amazon.
Okay, so more like an e-com type business.
Well, exactly. E-commerce,
Okay.
completely different than affiliate marketing. I've even kind of, and I'm not one to, I've never sued anybody in my life, but I'm thinking about trying to take some kind of legal action because, anyway, there was the first one that I signed up for, and then she sent out an email to everyone and said, hey, you might want to consider doing this free weekend training and learning more about this. Is a really great program because they actually do a lot of the work for you. Like they have their own sourcing people, they have their own photographer, et cetera, et cetera. And then later I found out that she and this other company are absolutely the same and they're connected, but there was no disclosure about that. But
you got two programs that are with the same company?
Basically, I mean, it was a few years apart, but it was like, that was why she was trying to get everyone to sign up for this much more expensive one, because it was, I found out, part of her company too. So it just sounds really, but the bigger issue that I have is that my coach, really, I'm like, do you vet these coaches? Because there was something very crucial for my product, that it was the size requirements that Amazon has, that once you're over a certain size, I mean, and they measure like to the millimeter, so if if you have a product that is 17 inches in any way, shape, or form in any of the three, measurements, you get charged an extra fee. They consider that a large item. And so they charge you more for the storage fees. And my item was 17 inches, but then in the packaging, it's more, and my coach never, ever discussed that with me. Like I remember very clearly, and I have it in my notes where he told me, you need to find out, from the factory what the sizes are, because, for shipping purposes, because we had to figure out all the shipping and the cartons and all of that. But there was never.
You guys, she's telling me a lot of information. Okay. So some of you guys might be thinking like, oh man, like what do you do when somebody just rambles on? She's not necessarily just rambling on. She is, but she's in the right direction because I need to know this information. This is actually very cathartic, which means it's very therapeutic for her to be able to release this anxiety that's inside of her. If I don't let her release this, then what's going to happen is that all this is going to be in her head. It's the secondary conversation. It's going to be stored up, and then she's not going to purchase. So I'm not going to give too much feedback. I literally just shut up and listen. As closers, we don't need to talk. We just need to listen. Okay. And as long as they're talking in the right direction, we just let them flow. Research shows that when the prospect is talking in the right direction, the more they talk, the higher probability that they'll be a buyer. Okay. That's if they're talking in the right direction. Okay. I also don't want to feed into it and have her give me more than I need either. I don't want to, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty. She's not my friend. I'm here to help her. right? This isn't like we're having tea, coffee, and just shooting the breeze. Like there's a goal here, right? So I just listen. Don't
or any
interrupt. Don't
discussion
interrupt.
whatsoever. And then the other bigger issue is that so I paid, I think I said $36,000, and then the other program was like 4,000, but that's, and then that's not including like all of my costs on top of that for the product.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and then all the Amazon marketing fees and all of that. But they said, all of your sessions are recorded. And the first 4 months of my sessions, my coaching was not recorded at all.
So they didn't really, so a couple things I'm picking up on. I'm picking up on that perhaps, and I don't know for sure because I couldn't tell you because I don't know the program.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of great ways to make money online outside of affiliate marketing, like e-com. People can make a lot of money. There are good programs out there. So I can't speak to this program, but what I would say, it sounds like perhaps a lot of programs I just know from being in the space.
Yeah.
Not all the coaches actually do the business. So meaning that they haven't actually been students themselves or gone to the program. So they're teaching more like theory versus like actual experience, right? So that could be a problem there. And then the second thing too is that they're not delivering the deliverables. I mean, that's
Yeah, well, that was actually one thing I asked my coach. I said, I was like, oh, so how many products have you sold, online? And, and he was, and I forgot how many he said, but it wasn't a lot. And then he told me, he and his wife, he said, oh, what we're doing actually right now is apps. We've created an app and people, pay a fee to join our app and we're making money off of that. And, and I actually chose him because he was in the free weekend training that was basically kind of a promo. And they had mentioned that, when they introduced him, and all, that he had just moved 6 months before to Hawaii. So I thought, oh, wow, he's killing it. He's thrilled to be able to afford to move to Hawaii. And because he had a family, he had a wife and kids. And so then as I got to know him, talking to him, they were living in an apartment. They tried to buy a house. They got denied. And he even mentioned to me that when they moved to Hawaii, they sold all their stuff. And he said, oh, well, how much? He goes, we just bought new stuff here. And he goes, how much do you really need? You just need a bed for yourself and the kids and some surfboards and a sofa. So I'm like, oh my God.
he's a free spirit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, so he's I was gonna say hippie, but yeah, and I'm like, he does not.
Hippie is a good word. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like free spirit. I'm like, that's a little free spirited for me.
Yeah, and I'm like,
that.
Yeah, I'm like, I have lots of antiques and I love my stuff and my.
You want a home, right? Like a home base and like warm and cozy, and everyone's different. So let me ask you this, because I mean, you crashed and burned, and sometimes I tell people, okay, go. So guys, she's telling me all this information, right? I just listen. I don't interrupt, right? But she gave me enough. She spent $40,000. When you guys hear somebody get on a call and tell you that they spent $40,000 on another program, what do you think? Like, what happens to you as a closer? Does it make you nervous? Does it make you think like, does it make you feel deflated? Like, how do you feel when you hear that?
Transparency. I would say, huh?
No.
Oh, I think it could be a little intimidating because you're like, oh my gosh, she already spent 40,000. She's probably not going to want to spend more. Like, why would?
Absolutely. That's what most closers are going to think. You nailed it on the head, right? Most closers are going to hear that and they start to feel deflated, and they have a limiting belief that, oh, they already spent all this money. They're not going to spend more money because now they're broke. They spent all this money. When you have experience, you learn buyers are buyers. When I hear somebody tell me they've spent 20,000, 40,000, 60,000, 300,000, because I've heard it all, I actually get excited because I'm like, oh, if they spent 300,000, what is 310,000? What is 320,000? It makes no sense to do it again. You're already at $300,000 in debt. What's 20 more thousand to get to the other side? Right? So I tell you that because as closers, how you perceive it, what's in between your brain, right? You can't outperform your mind. So if you're telling yourself, like, if you see it as a negative, it's going to impact your body language. It's going to impact your process, because now you might move faster. You might get straight to the point because you're like, oh, let's just see if this lady even has money. It could change everything. So I want to encourage you as closers, we have to always remember we also have limiting beliefs. And I had the same one until my brother checked me. So my brother's Richard. He's the owner of 1CC. So I'm very blessed. I've learned a lot from him. But one time I was having a really big slump, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, all these people spend all this money, and they get on these calls and they think I'm the coach and they're not going to purchase because they're set up for the wrong call and yada, yada, yada. And my brother looked at me and he said, you're full of excuses. You know what the truth is? I'm like, what's the truth? He's all, buyers are buyers. He's like, you have the best person on the phone because they have already bought in. They're already in the ecosystem. So now you upgrade them if that's your job. And I was like, oh, wow, he's right. He was right. He checked me and he was right. So once I learned to reprogram my brain, because you can't outperform your mind, it changed everything. So now when I hear this, and I encourage you guys, when you hear people who've invested so much money, that's actually a good indication, not a bad indication, because they're going to buy from you too. They're buyers. Okay. You just have to solve their problem and make sure that you're not selling them the same thing that they've already tried and failed at. So that's where you have to focus on discovery. Okay. Well, I don't know if you know, do you know Steve Jobs? Everyone probably knows him. He's the Apple guy. He died, poor guy.
Sure.
He had cancer. I love Steve Jobs. But anyways, he died like over a decade ago, but I still watch him on YouTube because he's actually pretty brilliant. Like if you hear him talk.
Oh yeah.
He was having an interview with somebody and they were asking him, they're like, hey Steve, like, why do certain people like become super successful as entrepreneurs and other people like just don't? And he said, it's simple. He was very quick. He's like, oh, it's simple. And the guy's like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, people who crash and burn, they get up and they do it again. He's all, that's how you get to success. He's all, the ones who stay down. He's all, they end up working for the people who get up and go through the fire again, right? So anyways, I say all that because it sucks. I mean, it does suck to lose that kind of money. It's a lot of money. But I would say one of the brighter side to it is, there's a lot of money in this world. I always tell people, if there wasn't money in this world, then it would be really hard. But there's not a shortage of money. There's a lot of money to be made. You just have to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because, okay, guys, what did I do right now? What did I do as a closer?
You're telling a story and you're planting seeds.
Yes, I'm telling stories, instead of me telling her like, that, this is part of being an entrepreneur and this is all, and trying to sell her. I just go, oh my gosh, this reminds me of Steve Jobs. I then tell her a story about Steve Jobs. And why am I doing this? The reason I'm doing this is because this lady has been on a journey, right? She's been screwed. She's been burned. She's knocked down, right? She's gotten socked in the face, right? So she's on the floor. I have to, what's the most powerful thing on our body? It's our what?
Mind.
It's our mind, right? So she feels like, man, all these programs are scams. They don't deliver. They don't this. They don't this. It's me. I can't do it. So what did I do right now? Right now, I just influenced her mindset. I am persuading her to see her situation differently without selling her. Do you guys get that? Do you guys see? It's a subtle shift, but I have to make sure, because if she doesn't start to persuade and see her situation differently, she's not going to purchase from me. So I want her to see, I want to make some connecting statements. Super successful entrepreneurs, they all crash and burn. It's part of the process, but you get up and you do it again. Otherwise, you're working for the person who did, right? The second thing is, yeah, you spent a lot of money, you shredded a lot of money, but the good thing is there's so much money in this world, you just got to learn how to make it. So now I've just empowered her to see her situation differently without selling her. Okay. So that's another thing. Super successful high ticket closers, we are able to tell stories, give analogies, and make connecting statements that have the power to influence and persuade. Okay. To see their situation differently. We'll continue. Because I want to make sure that you get what you need, right? Exactly what you need to get to the other side. So what was like missing? I mean, obviously they weren't delivering some of the things. That's, I would say, I don't want to say it's fraudulent, but it's kind of, that's not right. You should be getting what you pay for, you should be getting delivered.
Yeah. And we even went to a trade show in Las Vegas, and I, of course, that's all my own expense, to go out there. And even like the other people that I met, and these were, I mean, some of them were super intelligent. Like I met, like I have advanced degrees. I'm in psychology. That's been my career.
I was a licensed clinical social worker before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so more family.
Wow. Yeah. We should talk more about this way. But, and then one of the women that I connected with, I mean, she's both a veterinarian and has a PhD in some other kind of science. And she actually has her own food safety poultry. She's a poultry consultant. So she's been really busy last year with the whole emergence of the bird flu thing, because she goes around to like, she travels all the time because she's dealing with chicken and turkey and, infectious disease and all that. But she, I was kind of curious. I was like, why are you here? And she's like, well, I have these contracts with these different, farming companies and they're going to run out, they're going to expire. And I'm just trying to create more sources of income for myself. But I mean, she and there were several people, don't want to waste time on this, but, who also like we kept in touch. much, and everybody was pretty much very disappointed. You know, they're like, this was very
It
much.
wasn't just you, it was more like the
Oh,
culture.
yeah. Even some people that had already been selling online and were
Yeah.
successful and kind of wanted to take things to another level, or that
Yeah.
they had like a brick and mortar business and they were kind of
Yeah.
transferring it to an online e-commerce, and, you know, and they were all like, yeah. And even one of the coaches, I had like a private talk with him long after, and he's a very successful man, you know, has like a whole bunch of employees in a warehouse full of, you know,
Yeah.
so he's been very successful, but he's like, yeah, he said this,
It's not working
he's
out.
not, you know.
Okay, you guys, so she is really scarred from this experience. She has spent most of our conversation talking about this awful experience she had with a program that she spent $40,000 with. Okay, this is not good, because what happens is it's hard to think, it's hard, it's scary. I'd be scared too to let go of more money, because you think like, man, like, am I even gonna get what I'm promised? Like, is this real? There's so many things that are going on in her mind. So I already know. Okay, this is not good. Her situation is bad, but she's a buyer, so I'm holding on to that. Like, she's a buyer. She's spending this kind of money, so I know that she must have access to money. You can't just spend $40,000 if you're not stable and have good credit, right? So there's some things in my mind. I'm like, okay, she must have good credit. She must be stable. So now what am I thinking, guys? As a closer, I need to tap into what now? I really need to know what. What's going to help me bring the emotion and dig a little bit? Like, what do I need to know? I need to know why she's doing this. Like, you know, she's told me all these things, but I'm like, man, like, she seems very serious. Like, what even has her wanting to do this? Like, why is this even important? Because not everybody's spending $40,000 trying to start an online business, right? So that's where I'm going to head. I kind of know enough about her past. I feel like I've brought in some good connecting statements to help her see her situation a little bit more clearer and from a different perspective. So now I'm kind of like, like, why is she even doing this? Like, what's going on here? Like, why is this lady in front of me? Okay. So different ways to do things. So let me ask you real quick. What do you do? Are you currently, what has you wanting to do this?
Yeah. So for myself, basically, you know, I would like to make more money, you know, and the big kicker. So I actually paid for Commission Hero in March of last year.
Oh, you've been with us for a while.
Well, I haven't touched it. I haven't done any of the training. I haven't gone through any of the modules, but I've known about it for a while. Yes.
Yeah.
I paid for Commission Hero, and then I think I paid for something else, that would, I forgot what it was called.
Maybe Platinum X or Hero AI.
No, I paid for the Hero AI. The other one is there a bulletproof? Hero
Yeah,
AI?
bulletproof accounts.
So that was basically, and then after listening to Robbie's talk the other day, it was like, oh, great. Did I just pay whatever it was, 2,000 or 2,500 for something I don't even need? Because it was basically to kind of a way of preventing the shutdowns in Facebook. And then he was saying, now that's not happening anymore. And I'm like, oh, anyway.
It's not happening as often, but you still want it. If you're in this business, you want it as a backup tool for sure. Even if
the
you
bulletproof?
it's nice. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes you won't use it, but if it ever comes up, everything in our industry is pretty cyclical. So you'll have seasons where like it's completely like, oh my gosh, like this is great, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, it's coming. They're trying to let down the wall a little bit more. And so then you have access to the tools and different support, and you can jump hurdles a lot easier. Plus the way we set up our system, you're never having your eggs all in one basket anyway, so you'll get all that established too. So are you a full-time, do you do therapy? Is that what you do? Are you
So currently, so what I do now is I work for United Health Group, and I've been with them almost 2 years.
So you guys, she started getting off track. Okay, she started talking about other things she's buying, how she feels like maybe she wasted money. I don't want to get lost in the weeds, so I just like nip it in the bud, and then I get her back on the sales trajectory. Like, well, so tell me real quick, you do therapy, because she mentioned that she's a therapist, right? So I want to know, like, why is she doing this? I need to know what's going on.
I know you know what an EAP is. So I
don't know what an EAP is. I was a licensed clinical social worker. I don't know what that is, but it's not important, so I don't stop and ask her. Okay, so you guys have to learn not to ask questions or get clarity on things that are not important. That's not important. I have no idea what she's talking about, but I don't know. She's going to keep on talking. I figured I'll just connect the dots. Okay.
I work for their employee assistance program.
Oh, okay.
And I provide services to the client is Discover Financial, you know, like Discover Credit Card. And I don't know if you know this or not, but they just got bought in May. It was finalized by Capital One. Capital One uses one of our competitors, which is Anthem Blue, which is part of Blue Cross Blue Shield. They use them for their EAP, and they weren't even interested in talking to us at all. So we're losing this. It's actually our company's biggest contract. And to make matters,
your caseload's going to go down.
No, I'm losing my entire job.
Your entire job, they're not even going to work with you at all.
No, well, they had told us months ago, because we knew since last year this was a possibility that they would try and find us.
The medical field has always.
Yeah, well, that they would try and find us other positions, like other client. They said, because I'm an employee, they said, because some of my team, half of us are employees, half of us are contractors, and on the Discover team, and they said, we will try and find you like other client, other clients, so that you can service whatever, keep our jobs basically with different clients. Well, what they also announced to us in the same meeting is they said, we have gotten no new business this entire year and we're losing contracts.
So when did this end? When's your last day?
December 31st.
Oh my goodness, October, which is bad, but then also that's good because you do want to be up and running by the end of December because you want to be up and running by Q1. Okay, you guys, so I just got her why. This lady's in a bad spot. Her insurance has changed with her work. She's going to lose her job. And I even emphasized, guys, that, so your caseload's going to go down. And she said, no, like I'm going to have no caseload. So now she's talked it out, guys. So now she's feeling anxiety. Okay. She is not comfortable right now because right now now we're talking about the uncomfortable, which is she's going to have no job in December. So now as a closer, I want to capitalize on this, right? Like, wow, that's bad. But then I also want to highlight the good on why she needs coaching. Okay. So like, I want to make sure that I don't make her feel better by relieving her like, oh, you'll find another job or it'll all work out. I'm not going to tell her that. No, she's in a bad situation. What she needs is acceleration because right now is the best time. So now this is where, as closers, you have to be able to listen and respond intellectually to what people are saying and know your industry so that you can make the right connecting statements and give the right advice. Okay. When's our busiest season? So you have time. So let's talk about what you need because you have to get this done. So you're doing this to kind of replace an income and not have to go back to maybe what you're currently doing.
And I'm burned out. I mean, I've been
you do get burned out.
There for 30 years.
You do get burned out. So what do you need? Like what was missing from the past that you feel like, hey, if I would have received this type of mentorship or this type of help, whatever that looks like, what is it that could have helped you get a result?
I think part of what I needed was maybe more accountability and someone to push me more. Okay, guys, so now I know why she's in front of me, right? She's gonna have no job. She needs to recover an income. So that's why she's in front of me, right? I know the past, what she's done. Now I need to figure out what she needs. Okay, I need to fill a gap somewhere. So she tells me she needs more accountability. When someone tells me they need more accountability, they need more structure, what does that mean?
They want more support. They need more guidance.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. I don't really know. So when someone tells you they need accountability and they need support, you have to define that. So you need to go a step further. Like, tell me what that looks like for you. We're all so different. Like, what does support look like for you? Because you might think support looks like I'm guiding you every step of the way. I'm lining out your homework assignments. I'm following up with you. Someone else might be like, you know what? I need support in tech. I just need to know, how do I create a landing page? How do I, it looks different. So you want to make sure you know what it is so that when you're pitching your product, you are pitching and talking their language for the solve. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
We never assume anything. Okay. If you're assuming, you're going to get yourself in trouble and you could pitch something and not solve a problem and then you're not going to close the deal. Okay.
Right.
So I need to know, I don't know what she means by that accountability. I don't know what that means. So we're going to find out.
Things I'll just be really honest that I really just didn't like about, selling online was, I don't know if you know anything about, but having to go into Amazon's marketing system and they have all these, you have to set up I don't remember what they're called now. I guess they're kind of like filters, but you basically have to kind of toggle things, basically clicks, it's keeping track of how many people click on your product versus converting it to a buy and just all of that stuff. I really did not like doing that. And I didn't really understand it either. And one thing is that the coach that I got was actually after I got a second coach later. He was really, really good. But what they did was they did it for you. And they would just zoom around and they wouldn't necessarily teach you. And they would say, oh, you can just go back and look at the videos, and I was just like, I don't know. And I think I felt so discouraged too, because controlling that was really important because when I didn't control, because what happens is the way Amazon has things set is that it changes your numbers and then you get hit with these really high fees for marketing. I mean, $700 for a month. And I'm like, and I made no, I mean, I didn't make a penny, even when I sold half of my product, but I never broke even.
Never broke even. You're always in negative. So when you say you need the accountability, do you mean like somebody what does that look like? Because accountability, I feel like that looks different for a lot of different people. Like, what does accountability look like?
And in this context, I guess I don't know if I'm really sure about that.
Like structure, because sometimes, like I know for me, like a lot of times. Okay, so sometimes people don't know, guys. So I have to get her to talk this out, because if I don't know, when I pitch, she's still going to be uncertain. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, she's still going to be like, oh, I'm going to think about it because I'm not sure if that's exactly what I need, right? So now she's like, I really don't know. So I want to talk it out with her. And I have a lot of experience. So I'm going to share my experience and see if maybe she resonates with it. Okay. It's me accountable is like, I know for myself, if I have structure and I kind of like know like what's expected, I just thrive. It's, I mean, same with kids, right? Right. Structure and like expectation, right? So, and then sometimes people are like more like, no, I need someone holding my hand on top of me, making sure, they're following up with me. So there's that level of accountability too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, I mean, I am someone who I have like way too many hobbies or interests. Yeah. I'm really into cooking. I'm like a really serious gardener. I love, and stuff like that. And, refinishing furniture and, I also went back to school for interior design about 12 years ago. So, and I'm not doing that here professionally. I was doing it some in Arizona. But I think it's, I've been trying to kind of analyze myself. Like when something gets really complicated, sometimes I don't make myself like push through it, or just keep repeating it until I really get it, until I really understand it. I'm just like, oh, I'll do this later. And I just take a break from it and then I don't come back to it.
Okay. So she just told me what's wrong. She doesn't follow through when it gets tough. Okay. So now I want to make sure I understand her situation. So I'm going to repeat back to her what she told me, but I'm not going to repeat it exactly as she said it, because that sounds like so robotic, right? We never want to repeat people's statements exactly as they say it. We want to repeat it, but make it better. So now I'm going to give her what I think I heard. Okay. So I think that's kind of normal. Like I would say that what I call that is kind of like you hit a challenge, a roadblock, and it paralyzes you from kind of moving forward. So you kind of get stuck and you can lose focus. I know that happens to most people. That would happen to me too.
How long have you been doing this?
So I've been doing this since 2020. So kind of back to what I was telling you about being an LCSW. So I was an LCSW, I had 3 lives. Okay. So I had my academic life where I went to USC, got my master's. I went on, got my hours, got licensed. I worked as a clinician for many years. Then I got married and I had 3 kids back to back to back, literally. And so I decided to stay home with my first. I was home for a decade. When my youngest went to kindergarten, I wanted to go back to work, and I thought maybe I would do private practice, or maybe I'd go even to hospitals. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'd taken so much time off, but I kept my license up thinking I was going to go back and do something great. But anyways, when that day came, my husband was like, no. He's like, you can't leave the house. He's like, we're used to being home with the kids. Like, who's going to do this and this and that? I was like, oh my God, I don't know. So I got lucky because my brother is 10 years younger than me, and he teamed up with Robbie in 2019 when he just launched Commission Hero. So he's been doing affiliate marketing. Now he does a million different things. But anyways, he's super successful. My sister joined. So my husband was like, go do what they do. And I was like, oh, okay.
So you're like part of family kind of.
Yeah. So like my brother was good friends with Robbie. So then that's how I got that's kind of how I got where I am today. And now I help out with a lot of different things with Commission Hero. I do a lot of hats.
That absolutely blows my mind. And I heard Robbie's story on some video or call where he talked about when he was really poor and he was private trainer, and he was at some really wealthy guy's office.
Bedros? I think it was Bedros Kilian. I think that was the mastermind he went to.
Ferrari? Does the guy have a Ferrari?
He might. I know Bedros too. I don't know if he has a Ferrari. He might. He can be flashy, so he might.
I remember him saying that he was leaving. He was outside walking out to his car and his old beat up whatever he had. And he sees the client's car, and I thought he said it was a Ferrari or something like that. And he was just like, I don't know how, but I'm going to, basically figure out a way to be able to own a car like that, because I don't know how, I don't have the answers, but I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it really amazes me. It kind of blows my mind with everything that he has created, from the point of having been, him.
And he created from scratch. So he launched everything in 2019. And then he only thought he would get like 50 people on board. Well, now today we have 17,000 people in our community. Collectively, we've done over 200 million in revenue the last few years, just on ClickBank. That doesn't include all the other platforms we use now as we scale. So it's a very successful program. So you just have to think of it as a, okay, guys. So controlling the framework, guys, is an art. So she's getting off task. So as a closer, you want to use every opportunity to capitalize on that moment and get them back on track. So she went off script, but I use it as a powerful opportunity to actually double down on how great Robbie is by sharing about his past, how he now has 17,000 students. We've done over 200 million in revenue, you know, and then I get her back on path. Right. And then that's because I have to control the framework. I can't let this lady dominate with conversation because we'll get nowhere. Right. So I have to keep her, I got to keep her focused. Business, like you have to learn a skill, right? Like everybody wants a result, right? There's no result without the skill and the organization of the business. That's what drives the result. So it's like a pizza company, like they have rent, right, for a building, they have infrastructure, pots, pans, ovens, refrigerators, employees. You need those things to drive that business forward. With us, we don't necessarily have that type of expense, but you do have to have a skill and organization to drive the result. And so that's where the investment comes, right? And that's why people do coaching or programs. And a lot of it comes down to opportunity because they're not all equal, right? And opportunity is more important than ambition because you can have all the ambition, but if you don't have a good opportunity, you're on a hamster wheel, which you kind of experienced. you can't get off it. So I think just making sure that you find the right opportunity that really resonates with you, that can give you the confidence that you need to get to the other side. Okay. And so with Commission Hero, we have different paths. So the Mastermind is one path. Okay. So that was kind of my bridge, guys, into the pitch because I already know enough. I know enough. I don't want this lady to get off target. So now I'm like, you know what? We're going to get her into like the pitch of the Mastermind. I don't have to go too deep because she just literally got off a call yesterday with like all the information. But this lady needs some TLC, right? So now I'm just going to pitch the Mastermind and let's see how it goes. And we're almost done. If you're saying that you want structure, you want like maybe some more discipline, some more order expectation, the Mastermind would be a great fit because there's so much daily interaction. We have daily coaching calls and they're with coaches who are doing this at a very high level. So like Robbie's an 8-figure earner, Matt and Grant, they joined us in 2019. Okay, guys, why am I doing this? Because remember at the beginning of the call, she's done coaching with people who did not do the business. So now when I pitch, I'm going to make sure she knows that our coaches, this is what they do. Right. Okay. So everything we do is very strategic during the pitching. I have to be solving problems, but not necessarily just like problems to get her to make money, also problems that are hangups in her head. Okay. So the hang up in her head is like, hey, are these people even skilled to help me? Because I paid $40,000 thinking I was getting skilled help and they didn't help me. So I want her to feel very confident that our coaches are not the same without telling her that they're not the same. I'm not going to badmouth another company and be like, oh, well, you know, that program, you didn't get good skilled coaches. This is, you know, our coaches are so good because of this and that. I'm just going to share who they are and give stories. That time they were the fastest growing student. They got to like 1 million in 7 months. Last year inside of the Avenger Mastermind, which just replaces the Avengers, the Avenger Mastermind, there was a student who got to 7 figures in 6 months. You have to beat that. But anyways,
so when you guys talk about these numbers, is that the basically the amount of money they're making or the amount of money
I'm gonna fast forward it? The company, right? For the pizza shop, they do 1 million. That's too fast. They have their expenses, right? That come off the top. So same with us, we have our expenses too, right? So it could be the ad spend, the software, the tools. So I would say on average, I would say give it like 50%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was something Robbie said about basically like your sales, like when you sell something, or I guess it's selling, right? Technically, yeah. But like basically your commission is about 25%.
So it could be, so yeah, I would say 25, but it can go up. I would say like for a lot of the elite people, it could be 50% plus because it's a skill. And it depends on the person. Like we had a student, Brett, who started with us in 2000, I think in 2020. Last year, was it last year? I think it was last year. He ran a campaign. He made $100,000 off the campaign and he only spent 10,000 in ad spend. So he did 90%. So it can vary greatly. So that's why I always tell students, if you think of it as 50% for a lot of the numbers you're hearing from our more elite students, that's probably more. And then 25, even 25 is pretty good, but between 25 and 50. Okay. Be a fair amount. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when they talk about like 6 figures, 7 figures, I'm like, okay, does that mean what you've sold or what you have actually taken home in your own?
Okay, so I would look at the big picture, what you sold, what you generated in terms of revenue. Yeah. And then as far as the percentage, again, it's a skills game because someone could tell you they made 250,000, right? And you're like, well, yeah, but you spent 400,000 to get there, right? So yeah, we say it's a skills game. You have to have the skill. That's what drives the result. And the more skilled you are, the higher margins you'll have too. So the neat thing too about the Mastermind is that like last year we got hit with some like really crazy stuff, like products that normally sell, we're not selling. So the neat thing is because we were connected with such an elite group of students. I mean, we have our Platinum Plus students in there that are doing 1 million plus. We have our Diamond students who are doing, 5 million plus. We have some really good students inside of our masterminds. So like they immediately were like, hey, we got to pivot to this product. It was like a mindset. Mindset never sold. Mindset now sells. So it was like the mindset training, Genius Wave type product, and it sold really well. And it made up for like not selling other products. So the neat thing too is when you're connected with a big group of people, you do get a lot of inside information, like tips, tricks. You're able to pivot quickly, and then also just learn some of the tips and tricks of the business.
Okay, so when you were talking about that example of mindset, so then do you have like these hundreds or even thousands of?
So you guys, she has a lot of questions, so I'm going to fast
in the
forward a little
program?
bit. Let me just let him know real quick. Robbie, Matt, Grant, they're all huge in the space. So people want them to sell their offers.
Hero
Yeah.
that I paid for includes
Yeah.
the cost of running ads. Am I saying that correctly? Is
Yeah.
that like?
Okay. For a few years just to make sure.
Yeah, right.
And then
Right.
finally in 2023, I got the
see.
final warning from, it must have been the board. I forget what the board's called.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're like, you have one last chance to make up your hour. And I was like, oh, am I going to do everything? Help you with the setup, everything, campaign building, monitoring, everything. I want to kind of get to the part where she could overlap it with the elite match.
Don't know like how complicated doing this, doing affiliate marketing is going to be.
Yeah. So what I would say is this, why don't you start with the mastermind? Because the nice thing about the mastermind is I feel like it's a good value for how long you get it, because you get it through all the seasons of the business, right? And then you get so much, you get so much support. There's the daily coaching, you get all your software and tools included, which you're going to pay for those anyways. Right? So once you deduct all that, I mean, you're probably paying about $6,000 or $7,000 for the actual coaching once you deduct all the software and tools.
Okay, so yeah, and that's what I don't even know. So there's other software tools that I don't.
So in the elite mastermind, you wouldn't need to be adding any of it on because it's all included. Yeah, it's all included at the end of the day inside the elite mastermind.
Okay, I think I have Spy Hero. I've got this open. I had this open.
Yeah.
It shows on my.
Are you doing monthly, 6 months, or a year?
No, what I'm talking about is the Commission Hero, the tools. I mean, opening when I bought the link to what I bought.
Yeah. So did you purchase Spy Hero? Did you purchase it for the whole entire year or just monthly?
I have no idea.
So you guys, this lady has a lot of questions. So I'm not going to rush her, you guys, because it's very important that she gets these answered, because if not, she's not going to purchase. So sometimes you have to take time as a closer and not interrupt people, let them talk, kind of help them solve it and not make them feel rushed, right? Because she kind of has a lot of questions. She's kind of like, well, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I think I bought this. So I just want to make sure she knows, like, she's not missing out. Give me 1 second.
No, it was.
Oh, sorry. How do I mute myself so fast? Sorry about that. So she asked a bunch of questions. So I want to kind of go in where she closes and then she gives me the objection. So she basically says, you know what? Yeah, let's kind of see, like, I don't really have the funding. Let's see here. Let me see. I want you guys to hear it.
On here. Yeah, I did a search on this earlier and this came up.
Here,
No, I had 2 charges.
see
Sorry.
here.
So rates are?
It'll vary. So like, do you know what your credit score is?
Yeah, it's like 750 or over.
So they probably will work with you for sure. That means usually if you're above 700, they work with you. So you probably could get 10,000 financed through Klarna. And they usually have anywhere, it could be 10 to 30%, typically it's 10 to 15%. That's usually what I see, 10 to 15%. There's no prepayment penalties. Also keep in mind, Robbie taught me this, that with businesses, any interest, it is a write-off. So it's not consumer debt, it actually is a write-off, even the interest from your company. So keep that in mind too.
Okay.
But there's no prepayment penalty. The other thing that we do, and some students, a lot of actually students have been doing this year, is if you have a credit card, like it could be the whole amount, 17,000.
I definitely have open.
Okay, so this lady, guys, told me, like, she said, like, hey, how do people pay for this? I don't have the money, but then she tells me she has an open line of credit. So I tell you this, guys, because buyers are liars. Okay, they will tell you they can't afford things. They'll say they don't have things, but you just keep them talking. You keep them in the right direction. You find out they do have the money. If I would have just ended when she told me that, I had to fast forward it just for time's sake. If I would have just listened to her when she told me, like, oh, I really don't have funding. Like, what other options do you have? And I was like, and let's just say I didn't have credit options, I could have lost a deal, right? But instead I kept her talking and I wanted to know, like, does she really not have the credit? So I'm like, hey, we have this option where if you have the credit available, you can put yourself on a payment plan. And she tells me she does. Okay. Okay. So then this is what I would recommend. So this is what a lot of students are doing. Oh, thank you. Can I have one of those? I've been having sciatica. So my husband brought me a special seat.
Oh, that's nice. I'm sorry. That's awful.
I know it just flared up. I think because I went driving a lot the other day. We drove like cross country for something with my mom, long story, but anyways, I'm going to be okay. So anyways, if you have the available credit, this is what I would recommend. This is what most students are doing this year, is we have a payment plan where you can put your credit card into a system and it will just verify, like, hey, like I have 7,000 on this card, I have 10 on this card, or you have the whole 17 on one card. Once they verify, when you put your card information in, if you have the available balance, they'll put you on a payment plan through your credit card. So they don't charge the whole amount up front. They just make sure that you're good for the money. And then they'll put you on a payment plan, and that's interest free. There's no
Oh.
impact onto that.
Oh, okay,
So that's what I would recommend if you can do that. Not everyone can, but if you can, that's probably the best option.
okay.
So I'm going to fast forward. So she does it. She does it. And then not the site necessarily. I think it was like a country fee. And then she
Mm-hmm.
gets,
It'll probably tell you next steps. It'll tell you that Courtney's gonna get a
okay.
hold of you with.
So she gets approved, right? So now she's going to tell me that she has to think about it. Okay. About that right now. Cause and we'll have a next step for some type of like paperwork. I'm going to send that over to you directly.
Okay, I kind of need a little bit of time to think about this.
So you want to, it's perfectly fine. Is there anything outside of, okay, what did I do, guys? She gave me an objection. I have to think about it. What did I do?
You asked her a question to get her back on the trajectory.
I asked a question, right? Because she said she had to think about it, but what energy did not decline. In fact, it went up. The minute she gave me the objection, I said, oh, that's fine. You could totally think about it. I leaned in the camera more. I said, you could totally, I want her to feel confident that she can think about it. If I go back, I go, oh, okay. And my energy now declines because I lost a sale. Guess what? I just matched her energy and now I just confirmed her uncertainty. Does that make sense? Now she feels like, oh, you know what? I was kind of hesitant. And now I feel like maybe I was right to be hesitant because now she sees my energy drop. So instead, I lift my energy and I ask a question. So what should I ask? She's telling me she's got to think about it. What would be the logical question to ask?
What does she have to think about?
Yeah, like what are you hesitant about? Like what's going on, right? What we discussed, is there anything that you're hesitant about or need to discuss further while I'm on the call with you? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't think so, because I mean, it's just that I'm up against, like having absolutely no income.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I understand, hopefully I'll be making money on this, but but how much, you know what I mean? Like, am I going to make enough to pay my mortgage every month, pay my utilities,
So what's the objection? She said you had to think about it. She said you had to think about it.
Fear of losing
What's the
money.
objection? She's not scared. What's the objection? There's a true objection here.
She
Money.
feels like
Money. Who said money?
Elena.
Elena, thank you.
Me.
Money is the objection because she's like, she can't afford it. She did get approved, but she's saying, hey, I'm going to have no job come December. If I have this monthly payment, I don't even know if I can pay my mortgage. That's a real concern, you guys. That is a legitimate objection. So what do I do with it? Do I convince her that she does it anyways? No, because now I'm selling her, right? The payment's too high. So as a closer, I'm like, okay, I'm hearing her tell me that she has done coaching in the past. She gets paralyzed. She can't move forward. She has to get this done. She has to get this done. But at the end of the day, it seems like it's a payment issue. The payment needs to be lower so her to feel comfortable that she can do a payment for coaching, plus the expenses, plus pay for her mortgage. Okay. Our goal is to get them in a better financial situation, not a worse. So what do I do? If it's really a financial situation, what do I do?
get
Offer
creative.
financial options.
Get creative.
Well, that's not going to help the payment. I mean, I could possibly, and I am going to bring that up, but ultimately I'm going to go down to a lower price point bucket. Okay. Because I don't want to lose the sale. And I don't want to convince her that, she can't afford it because she might be overextending herself because she is not going to have a job come December. But I also don't think she should do nothing. And we built enough rapport where I know that if I tell her this, she's going to listen to me. So I'm going to let her know that, like, you know what, she could try maybe bringing her expenses down, but you know what, she probably shouldn't do nothing. Let's do this at a minimum and let's see what she says.
And then also make this payment every month. You know what I mean?
So that is a realistic concern because you're not going to, for a fact you won't have a job come December, right?
Right.
Okay, you guys, I validated her concern because it is a legitimate concern. So now she trusts me. I'm not just BSing her. I'm not just trying to sell her. She knows that like I'm being empathetic. Like it's really sad. Like it's a legitimate concern. No. So I guess I have a couple thoughts. The other thing I could think of, do you want to see if you can get, because I want to say you might be able to get a lower payment. How much was that one? That one was 1,500?
14 something.
14. I wonder, do you want to see if Klarna will fund 10,000 of it? Because if Klarna can fund 10,000, there might be interest, but there's no prepayment penalties. But I want to say the payment might be lower, and then you could just do the 7K through your credit card, and that would be a lower payment too, and it probably would be less than the 14 combined.
Yeah, I mean that's something to, I consider that, but I just feel like I need a little more time to just think about,
the financial end of it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I knew more, like, I almost wish I had done this on my, like, gone through all the training modules and had started actually doing affiliate marketing, you know, then I could judge, you know, like, do I really need, you know, like, do I really need a coach? Is this, you know, is this something that would really help me, you know, this investment?
Okay, so now, guys, it's turned into a different objection. Now she's like, you know, I don't even know if I really need this. I haven't gone. So now she's getting scared. Now she's getting scared, right? Now she's coming up with every reason why she needs to wait. Like, I haven't gone through the course. I don't even know if I need the coaching. Is that true?
No.
No, based off our conversation, she does need the coaching. But right now, it's just it's a reaction, not a response. Right now, she's just reacting. But that's okay. She can react. I can't react. Okay, it's okay for the prospect to react. I cannot just shoot from the hip. I have to be very methodical. So what I'm gonna say is like, hey, like, you know, you do need the coaching for these reasons because she already shared it with me and she's gonna know it's true.
To take
Yeah.
business to, you know, a much better level, much higher level.
Yeah. Well, the other thing you could do too, because I would think this is what I would say, just based off our conversation, because when you get stuck, it kind of paralyzes you from moving forward. So what I would say is that at a minimum, maybe what you should do, and it'd be less financial, take on too, is why don't you do the private coaching? We can get you in for the 3 months. It's normally 12,000, but also honor the 10. That's what it was a few months back before we price raised it. It would be 10,000, a lot less, right? And you're gonna, it's our breakthrough bucket. So with our breakthrough bucket, what's neat is that you need to get up and running by Q1, right? So you can get with a coach, they'll meet with you every week like this. It's better because they're longer sessions. They have control of your screen. They also, you can give them access to your accounts. But what's neat is they'll get everything like your machine built. They'll help you get everything set up, warmed up, integrated. As you're doing that, they'll help you pick your product, build out your campaign. They then launch it with you. They monitor the numbers. They tell you what to do with the metrics so you understand all the columns. So they're going to do all that with you one-on-one. So it kind of eliminates a lot of the outside noise and you don't have to figure out doing it on your own. And then the best part is that they'll strategize everything. So they'll like every week they'll say, okay, like, okay, Susan, this is what you're doing. This is what you're aiming for. Every week, this is what we have to do for this 7 days. For this 7 days, this is what you're doing every day between our coaching sessions. This is how you're doing. And then they'll actually follow up to make sure it's being done correctly.
Okay.
But then you're not spending as much, but you're getting a lot of, I would say, hands-on help to get the initial setup so that you have the confidence in that everything's built correctly. Then, you know, you're getting your first rodeo in so that you can feel confident. Then if you feel like, hey, you know what? I want the Avengers still. I'm not the Avengers, it's called Elite Mastermind. I want the Elite Mastermind. You're really not spending that much more because you get 50% off anyways. But at least you're not paying that much more money up front, but you're getting a lot done in time because you don't really want to wait too much longer.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you, because I know you mentioned this earlier, and I heard what Robbie said yesterday on the call about first quarter being crucial.
Okay, guys, so this is great because I tapped into like her need, right? I already told her, hey, you get paralyzed, you get stuck. Like, I wouldn't advise that you do anything. And I say it nicely. I'm not selling her. I'm joining with her. I'm being honest with her, and she can sense that I'm not selling her. I'm like, hey, like, you know, I wouldn't wait, but it's how I say it. I'm not telling her you don't want to wait. I mean, you're going to, you know, you really need this. I'm not forcing her to make a decision. I'm joining with her and holding her hand so she can feel confident jumping with me, holding her hand.
Crucial. Big money maker because of New Year's resolutions, right? You know?
Yeah, that's exactly what. And I also think the other layering factor is the psychology behind people knowing that they're getting income tax returns. Like,
I would
I'm gonna get some kind of relief. I think there's like a psychological factor. But I think that has something to do with it too.
Right.
Do you want to, what are your thoughts? I mean, it's up to you, but you can see what that payment plan looks like. It's probably a lot feasible.
Yeah. That sounds more, I feel like that makes me feel more comfortable, you know, because I mean, I honestly feel like I just threw 40 grand away, you know, on that other, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Do you want me to send you that link to see what that looks like?
Yeah.
Let me share that with you, because that'll probably be a lot less. And then it's also a less investment, but I actually feel like you might get a little bit more acceleration with that too, especially in the beginning. If you're saying like you really want to get things going in the next 90 days, you got to get rolling. And it's a good timing because 3 months covers like. Okay, guys, so I sent her the link and she does it. Okay, she ends up going through. She doesn't give me any objection. She jumps into it. Okay, so I wanted to show you the whole call because it was a different call in that it was a longer call for sure in terms of the discovery, but I had to slow it down because she was so skeptical and she had such a bad experience. I had to allow her the space to talk it out, because if I didn't allow her the space and I cut her off and I badmouthed e-com and started selling during the pitch and convincing her that this is different, I would have lost the deal, because it's not her first rodeo. So instead, I just kind of joined with her. I let her talk. I listened, and I just made a lot of connecting statements. I gave her a lot of analogies. I gave her a lot of statements that help persuade her mindset, because it was a mindset thing. She had to see her situation differently, and she needed to see some hope at the end too, that things could be different. And then, true story, it's so funny because I shared the call today with you guys, but she actually texted me this morning, which is so funny. She texted me this morning. What did she say? I'll tell you what she said. This morning she texted me. What did she say? She said, oh, maybe it was on my computer text. Hold on. She told me something this morning. Oh, she said, hi, Marisa. I just wanted to share with you that I just had my first coaching session with Stephanie, and there is a world of difference between this coaching program and the awful e-commerce one that I told you about. I'm super excited. And I put, oh my gosh, I was thinking of you I was thinking of you today. This makes my heart happy to hear. Coach Stephanie's fantastic. Yay. Right? So anyways, I share all that because then I got feedback, and I did the right thing. Okay. We're a little over, but I will answer questions if anyone has questions or statements, anything about the call, anything that could be helpful for you guys.
I just want to, as a statement, I think that was a awesome call. I've been struggling a lot with not just objection handling, but and justifying rather than reaching where they are and kind of no, you need this because of what you told me, not like not justifying it, you need it because of what you told me, but like meeting them where they're at and then helping guide them to their future vision. You know what I mean? Which is what you did.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've been struggling with that. So
And it's
thanks for
hard.
giving that.
Yeah, no, it is hard. And what happens to us is that we're human. We're human too. And so we can become reactive. So when we react, it's think about it. Whenever we react, part of it is we start justifying things, over explaining things, you know, and that's all. So when you find yourself doing that, it's actually good insight to have, Elena. So when you find yourself doing that, you have to remind yourself like, oh no, like I'm reacting right now. Why am I reacting? Right? And you have to learn to respond, which is just slowing things down. So the best thing to do whenever you get an objection is just go, hey, like, you know, sounds like it's a little bit more than you thought it was going to cost. Put that aside, you know, tell me your thoughts about the program. Like, do you feel like this is exactly what you're looking for? Because now you're slowing it down and it helps you not to be reactive. It helps slow down the conversation, and it helps you guys both kind of like regain like composure, I guess you could say. Like it helps slow you down so you can start gathering your thoughts while she's talking, but it also keeps her on the sales trajectory, right? So if you just kind of isolate the objection and give them some time to talk about it, in that talk, you might find out what's really going on.
Fair.
Right? Because you'll pick up on body language. You'll pick up on like, well, I don't know. I think it's what I need, but man, I've done so many programs like this. And you're like, oh, okay. Like she's not ready to jump yet because there's some hesitation. So like tell me, like, you've done a lot of programs. Have you done anything like this where it's actually addressed the metabolism? No. So what really has you hesitant? Well, I just can't fail again. Okay. So it's not necessarily the program. It sounds like you're a little bit more concerned about you.
Got
Yeah.
you.
Right. So now you're kind of shifting the focus. Now it's about them. So now we have to address that. Like, you know, what do you fear most about you not completing the program? Well, I've done this before and I fell off the bandwagon. You have. Did you feel like you had support in those programs? No, I didn't. You had to, oh, well, how do you think it'll be this time having a coach? Someone that you can talk to. You can even message them daily. You can go back and forth daily. That you whatever it is that you tell them, right? Then they start to build confidence again.
Got you.
Right? But
Okay, yeah.
you just got to shift it, but just slow it down by isolating it, Elena. If you isolate the objection, it gives you time too to kind of regain your thoughts. So that helps me. Whenever I isolate objections, it buys me time to think like, okay, Marisa, how are we gonna, which way are we going? Right?
Fair. Yeah.
It gives you
Awesome.
time. Otherwise, we can become very reactive.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's why, and it's all part of persuasion, guys. So we get paid to persuade people and to influence people. Selling is very different. So that's where justification comes in. That's where over explaining. This is where, you know, we're constantly talking about how great our program is. Even on this call, a lot of closers would have lost the deal because as soon as she went into all of her mishap, they would have been like, oh yeah, e-com, and they would have badmouthed the industry, which is super bad. You don't want to ever badmouth another program because it's not important. It just makes you look bad, in my opinion. Not you, Elena, but you know, closers. But you never want to like do that. And then you don't ever want to be like, oh, that's why Commission Hero is so great, and start selling your program during the discovery. Right? I just held everything and used it for ammo during the pitch. But the pitch was very fluid. I don't know if you noticed that, but I don't even know if she realized she was being pitched because it was more conversational. Because I was tapping into what she said, things that she needed, things that she wanted, right? And I brought it into conversation and it led to more conversation, but it was constantly in the right direction. Okay. So it's really good to see that, sales calls are very dynamic. They're not transactional. Okay. They have to be dynamic because that's the only way they can become transformational. And that's what we do as closers. Okay. We'll wrap up. Any last minute questions? Anyone have a question? We're good? Everyone's good?
Just last minute,
Oh,
one
yes,
last minute.
Joshua.
Yeah, I love the way you opened up the call as well. Do you usually open up all your calls that way? And does that really help them to open up? Because what I feel sometimes is that it takes them,
Hi,
it gets
Michael.
me a while before they actually open up. Like there's
Yeah.
a gentleman that it literally took, I was digging and digging and digging, and it took literally 27 minutes before he opened up.
Yeah, and that's a long time, and we don't always have that much time. So, yeah, I think a lot of it is like your introduction does set the tone for the call. So, I am always very lighthearted because this is not, I don't want them to feel like it's an interview. Right? I want this to be about them. Like, hey, like, looks like you might possibly be considering doing something for your business. I'm not quite sure. Where are you at? Right? So I just kind of, I don't want them to feel like, you're here to make a decision and this is the point of the call. And these, what I don't want to get is a maybe. That's like very hard selling and it can work for certain people, but for most people, it's not going to. Okay. So yeah,
Oh, thank you.
I'm always pretty lighthearted when I get on calls because my first initial goal is I want them to like put their guard down. And there are people who are just a lot more um they're not reciprocating what I give, right? But if you stay consistent, they eventually will. So like I can show a call next week. I had a call with a guy for private coaching also, and he was like very like one answers in the beginning, but I just kept at it. And eventually you see when the wall goes down and all of a sudden he was just like so talkative. And so a lot of it's just, we just have to constantly bring the energy. We are the energy. We are the thunder. We cannot rely on our prospects to bring it or deliver it. It's just not going to happen. So just stay consistent. Don't overthink it. It comes with experience too. You'll feel less pressure and you'll feel less like self-conscious about it the more reps you get in. Okay.
Okay.
But Elena,
Mhm.
if you're in a rut, what is this just a recommendation for anybody who's in a rut and you're just like, man, like I was closing and now I'm not closing. There's probably something in between your brain, in between your ears and your brain that's keeping you from closing. So you're probably focusing on the wrong thing. So what I would recommend is go to the calls that you closed and rewatch them so that you
Okay.
see and remind yourself of what you're doing right. And then that will empower you then to get on the next call and just do the same thing. Because what happens is sometimes we overthink things and you don't focus on what you're doing wrong because that's not important. We don't want to give that energy. We don't want to repeat it, but we don't want to focus on that. We want to focus on what we're doing right and then continue to build on what we're doing right until
Okay.
we master the entire framework. Okay, so do that. Other than that, I will see you guys next Thursday. Okay, guys?
Marisa, if you don't mind,
Oh, yes.
can you please take one more question?
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Marissa, the question I had was like regarding the length of the call. As she was, she was burned out before, so we had to be conversational, so it took long. But usually with the calls, how do you see calls? Like, there's a guy who says like, when we go to skydiving, the longer it takes, the harder it becomes to, jump off, right? The harder it becomes to take the decision. So, what do
Yeah.
you feel about that perspective? Like, if we keep the call short, like 30 minutes, does that help you close better? Or like the
Most of my
longer?
calls are 30 to 45 minutes. So if I close a call,
Yeah.
they're usually about 40 to 47
Yeah.
minutes, right? I agree in some respect that the longer the call could be worse. It depends on the call though, and it depends on the conversation. If the
Mm.
conversation is in the right direction, it's never a waste of time. But if I'm feeling
Mm.
that, if I'm feeling that hour with nonsense, like if I would have got into like, I have a licensed clinical, well, I don't have it anymore, but I was an LCSW. Now, if I would have been like, oh my gosh, you're a psychologist. Where did you go to school? How long have you been licensed? Oh my gosh, how many clients do you have every day? Oh my gosh, isn't it so hard when you deal with these kind of patients? And I started getting in a whole conversation that I love to talk about because I have the background, but it's not going to help me
Mm.
sell. If
Mm.
the hours because of that kind of fluff talk, then yeah, you're not going to sell, right? Because now she
Mm.
looks at me as a friend. I don't want her to see me as a friend because friends tell you what, like, oh, you
Mm.
got to think about it. You get it, right? I don't want her to feel that way with me. I want her to feel like,
Hmm.
here, I'm here to help. We got to make a decision. Like, what are we doing? Right. But in a friendly way. So it depends. And it depends on how much you're selling. Like if you're selling something for, there's programs out there that are 30, 40, $50,000. That might take a little bit more of a conversation. It's more money. So there has to be more meat, more value, right? So I think there's a lot of variables I think that come into play for length. But if you're on a call for an hour and it closes, as long as the conversation's in the right direction, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it.
Incredible, incredible. So it's just like handling the concerns and everything as soon as
Yeah.
possible. But
And
if it
you'll get
takes
more
more
efficient.
conversation, we can do that.
Yeah, and you'll get more efficient with reps. So typically my calls don't last this long. And then I also had a downsell. So when you downsell, try other payment links, it just takes time, right? But when you become an experienced closer, you learn exactly what you need to get, what you need to hear, what connecting statements you have to say. You just dial it in. And it's like the same thing over and over and over and over. Yeah.
Incredible, Marisa. You're too good at it.
Well, it takes time. I've been doing this for a long time, since 2020. So anyways, I love
Awesome,
seeing you guys.
awesome.
We'll be back on Thursday and we'll do another call review.
Thanks, Marissa.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.